This is Eric. You had a couple of questions. I'm going to try and answer them. Number one, you're saying 3 years, fully documented tax returns. That is awesome. Most businesses are not fully documented on their tax returns, so congratulations for having an A-rated business. That's awesome. 325 revenues with 120,000 clear income minimum. Minimum versus what other number? I would need to know that other number. And the way it usually works is they're looking at the most recent 12 months. Earlier in the year, we were able to get away with talking about 2019. But if we were starting a listing now, September, October, we're really looking at what happened in 2020. However, that's me as an educated business broker. There are buyers that I have sold to that aren't looking at it that way. But I can tell you the average days on market, and this is why I made this sheet here, which was really helpful. Last year, the average days on market was 274 when priced properly. This year, it's about 300 days. If you want to sell, then let's sell it. If you're trying to time the market, then let's sell it. So either way, you should be on the market. There's no reason to not be on the market. Being on the market is simply just marketing. When you sign a listing agreement, you're giving us permission to see what offers come to us, and we present them to you. You get all offers that are received. So there's no harm in being on the market. The listing isn't the issue. The signing of the contract, you are in full control over that. So you decide if you want to accept an offer, if you like that person, if you trust that person, if you bond with that person, if you changed your mind, if whatever. But we're just doing the marketing side for you. You're the decision maker if you want to engage or not. I'm telling you that if you wanted to sell, and I'm assuming that's why we're having the conversation, it takes longer to find the same quality buyer that it might have taken last year. For example, 274 versus 300. It's taking 10% longer, an extra month. And the volume of transactions have gone down. So there's less buyers. That's why it's taking longer. You can see the percentage of last year. But if the question is, should I be in the market or shouldn't I be in the market? Should I sell now or later? We're not in control over when you sell. The only thing I'm in control over is when you start the process to get your education, so that when you are ready to pull the trigger, or you recognize it's a good deal, or we come across a buyer that says what you need to hear, whether it's a good economy, a bad economy, in the morning, in the evening, lunchtime, who cares? You take the offer, or you don't take the offer. This is just a marketing agreement. So when people say, I don't know if I'm ready to sell, well, we're not asking you to sell. We're asking you to engage us as your marketing team to promote your business so that when you are ready to sell, you have options and you have leads and you got your education because you were on the market long enough and you've heard offers, and you'll recognize a good offer when you finally hear one. And it does take time, and it's to a seller's advantage to be on the market as long as you possibly can. And yes, before you're actually ready to sell, because that's what you need to do to know that you got the deal. If I brought you a deal that was the right deal, but I did it in a day, you may say, Eric, you did it too soon. It's not enough money. I've heard that before, okay? Because we're too good, or whatever the situation is. So I would say be on the market, ask a reasonable ratio from the healthy economy, which in your case on the previous video, I came up with 1.43. This is just a marketing agreement to try to see what fish jump on our hooks. And the average was 84% down payment, and it was an average of 302 days on market to achieve the 1.43. But you don't wait until if you want to be out in February, you don't start your marketing in February. You started last February. So there's a year and a half involved. I have a $500,000 closing tomorrow on a homestead roofing business, which is really kind of cool. I had the seller and I have the buyer, both. It took me a year and a half. These things take time, but it's worth it in the end. Okay, so let me answer your next question. If it was 120, I would take that 120 and I would multiply it by 1.43, and that would be my asking price. It doesn't mean that's a sold price. It just means I would start from like a healthy economy number. If you're making more than 120, show us the numbers and then do it by that. I don't tell the sellers what to ask for. So those are the ratios. So yes, there's less buyers and there's less transactions. I suspect that's going to start to change. Let me share with you the obligation of the listing agreement, all right? Because there's a couple of clauses that state when we're entitled to get paid. It talks here, number 4. So let's go do it like this. There's a percentage that goes in here. Percentage. Now, I could do a small percentage and get no activity. 10% is customary. 12% gets it done better and faster, and you'll get every buyer and every buyer's agent making offers if they're interested. So we can bribe the other agents, the buyer's agents, to pick our listing, my listing, and therefore helping my seller by giving them 1 extra percentage point. So instead of it being 5% and 5% for each office, it's 6% and 6%. I spend a maximum amount of money, more than anybody I know of. I spend 50 grand a year promoting my listings. That's about 10% of my commissions. I recommend 12, and we put a minimum in there, and the other agents see it, and they go, oh, they're confident with their minimum, and they're confident with their commission. I'm going to bring my qualified buyers over there. But I can do it any way that you like. 12 seems to really get it done. My last big contracts were all 12%, but I'll do it. I'm not going to lose a sale over a commission. I'm not going to argue over a commission. We want to help people. If it doesn't work, we increase it. Here's number 4, A through J. You should read these. These are the reasons that we're entitled to a commission. We're entitled to a commission if a broker procures a buyer ready, willing, and able to purchase the business at the terms set forth above, or at any price or terms acceptable to the seller. So if it's acceptable, if you engage in a contract and we have escrow, it was acceptable. Don't back out on us. We did our job. B, seller sells, leases, trades, or otherwise disposes of any part of the business during the listing period, regardless of whether the broker was involved in or responsible for disposition. So if you try and sell the business on your own, and we're spending money and time trying to help you, you're going around the listing agreement, and we should be compensated. Seller enters into a contract for sale intent and or accepts deposit, causes an amount to be placed in escrow. Seller draws the business for sale, seeks to terminate, and terminates the listing agreement prior to the termination of the listing. If seller, through no fault of the buyer, fails or refuses to complete the sale, lease, trade, disposition. So we're going to start working for you. We're assuming you're going to follow through. I guess that's the bottom line. If you don't have serious intentions, let's not do it. F, should seller misrepresent or be fraudulent in communicating any material information? If you're lying about numbers and we go to market and we find out we've been misrepresented and it causes us to be harmed, it's a problem. Seller sells, leases, trades, if you sell it to one of our buyers, we earned a fee. The sale or transfer of any or all stock. If you try and convert it into a stock sale to reduce the price, to get away with a smaller commission, it's not cool. Seller fails, refuses, or neglects. We need the financial information to do our job. It's very reasonable. We don't hold tight to the 21 days. We know people aren't always organized. Seller agrees with buyer to cancel the executed sales contract. When people do that, they're trying to circumvent good faith. That's pretty much the earnings of the commissions. Here was the other thing. What does the agreement state about prospective buyer offers less? So they offer less. I present it to you and you don't sign a contract. See, this is just a listing agreement. This is not a sales contract. This is just permission to do the marketing. If somebody offers you less, you say, that's very nice, Eric, I need more, or I'm not interested. We prefer you not say that, but if that's your position, then that's your position. I can never force you to sell an asset, just like a residential agent can't force you to sell their house. We can't make you sell your business. We would like to get paid if we do our job. If I do not accept counter offer, am I on the hook for listing agent for any amount? Well, I think reason would say, listen, if we did our job, it's all spelled out, and one of these, you damaged us in some way. We worked for you for a year. We paid money, we worked, we brought buyers, we did our job. Yeah, a reasonable person would say, look, why should they get harmed? Conventional wisdom would lean that selling my business during these turbulent times might be to a disadvantage for me. No, because you're not selling it. You're marketing it. This is a marketing agreement. The listing agreement allows us to put our ads in the retail sites, talk to our existing clients, talk to the other agents, talk to whoever we need to in order to generate offers. And then those offers at your discretion, you either accept or you don't accept. If you accept, we move forward. We go through due diligence, we go through training, we go to a closing. It's a whole process. Turbulent times have nothing to do with whether I get a overpaying buyer or not. If you don't think that they're reasonable. Now, I don't know that an overpaying buyer is a qualifier for it's being a good buyer or not. You might want a guy that you get along with. You might get a guy that has all cash. You might get along with the guy of the same community or the same religion or the same haircut. I have no idea what you're going to like. I'm assuming it's money, but it's not always. Anyhow, we're here to help you. I hope I didn't confuse you more than help you. But it's always a good time to be marketing because that's all you're doing is you're marketing. You're soliciting for offers. You're not engaging in a contract. A fair ratio would be from the healthy economy based on what you believe you're currently doing on your adjusted net, considering all the add backs, all the cash, anything that the owner benefited from that the new owner has reasonable belief that he might benefit from. The listing is free and we'll help you however we can. Thank you. We'll talk to you soon. Have a good night. Bye-bye.